the years, marketers have been analyzing the different generations, baby boomers, Gen X, millennials, and recently we have seen there's a red thread among all of them: speed. They all want everything to happen now. My name is Francisco Serrano, and I am the Chief Speed Officer at One-to-One and the host of the Now Gen podcast. Join me. Each episode, we talk about what's happening with brands, see how brand professionals across different industries cope with this fast-changing market, and live up to the expectation of this now generation. Welcome.
This episode is brought to you by One-to-One, the fastest day-to-day design and content studio. For more than 17 years, One-to-One has been their premier partner for many Fortune 500 companies, proving that tight deadlines shouldn't be a hassle.
Hello, Francisco Serrano here, Chief Speed Officer at One-to-One and host of the Now Gen podcast, where we talk about what's happening with the Now Gen folks and everything and anything in regards to what branding people are doing to live up to the expectations of the market, accomplishments, insights, and how they manage to deal with this frenzy going on. And I'm very excited today because we have Grace Guerra with us. Grace is a brand manager at Impulse. Currently, she is in charge of the outdoor category, working with brands such as Jack Tracks, Dry Guy, Stable, Sport Bella, and Little Hotties. Please, welcome. How are you, Grace?
Doing well. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
No, we're excited too. We were just discussing the wonderful weather that we are living right now. And does that influence in any way your business?
It does, absolutely. So a lot of my brands specifically are seasonal. So we're working right now initiatives to make it a year-long business, but how they originated is very seasonally driven. So Yak Tracks and Stable are more of our winter brands. They're traction brands. Basically, they're devices that you would put on your shoes so that you can walk in the snow and the ice and you don't slip. Stable actually started in Maine. So that was, kind of made in the USA for a while. Things obviously change as you grow, but that was a fun brand that we're really kind of expanding right now. Actually, there's a big initiative going on. And then Sportbrella is our beach umbrella brand, or I should say beach sporting events, tailgating, those kind of places where you would see the Sportbrella, but most likely at the beach. So we are very heavily reliant on the weather. Little Hotties is a hand and toe warmer brand. So to keep you warm if you're skiing or hiking during colder mornings. And then Dry Guy is, essentially dryers to dry all of your gear. So you can put your shoes, if you were out, for a run and you got wet, they slide right on and they can, dry out your gear. Or if you're a fisher and you're wearing waders, you can put your waders on there, dry the inside of your waders out. And then we have a couple accessories that come with it for athletes. If you are a hockey player or a biker, you can put your helmet on there. There's a helmet attachment. So lots of fun stuff.
Yes, I was looking at your brands and the website, and I mean, impressive how America is active in the outdoors, right? And
yes.
And you guys are all over the place. You're the leader from the pack, right? I guess.
Yeah, in some of them we are, absolutely. Yep. They're really fun brands to work on. We have a lot of environments that we get to play in. We're global. So, yesterday I had a meeting with our Australia team and they're bringing in Sportbrella in Australia, which is really exciting. And then, we have partners obviously in Canada and then as well as in Europe and South Africa. So.
Okay. Yeah, good. And I want to pick on the word fun because you have mentioned it a couple of times.
Yeah.
And I heard the little birdie told me that you worked at Disney in your past. So
I did.
Does that have to do with anything? I mean, where's the Grace in the past
Yeah.
has evolved to the greats now. Tell us a little.
Absolutely. Yeah. So Disney has always been a part of my life. I think every child, it really is. But I had a great opportunity when I was in college, and I interviewed and got to go on what they call the Disney College Program. And basically what you do is you take a semester of school, and you go and you intern at Walt Disney World. And so I took the spring semester of my sophomore year in 2012, and I moved down to Florida and moved in with a group of 5 girls from all over the U.S., who I'm still friends with to this day. And I got to play and work at Disney World. But it really set the precedence for kind of my career moving forward, in the sense of what I knew I wanted and what I knew I deserved. I wanted to be passionate about my work. And that was something that I felt every single day I went to work at Disney. And that's what my peers had felt as well. They could have been doing, one of the harder, maybe not as glamorous jobs. But every day we took pride in our work and we had fun doing it. And so that was really important to me, that wherever I saw my career going after that, it was going to be centered and focused on enjoying it and having fun and, taking each new day and seeing what I could do with it and mold it into what I needed it to be to continue, the business, but as well as just personal growth for me. So that's where I used to work. I actually also did part-time at the Disney store when I lived in Chicago. So I worked at Michigan Avenue's Disney store. It's the main store for them. So they have kind of different levels, and the Chicago one on Michigan Avenue was a big one. And I absolutely adored it, loved it. It was so fun. I worked my regular job, my branding job, and then got to go play and make magic, at least once or twice a week, which was just a blast for me.
Yes. I've heard, a lot of business talks and presentation that the whole deal about customer service and the guest philosophy of Disney, it applies from the guy or the girl that is doing the animals or there and all the way through, the director of the theme park.
Exactly. Yeah. You see it throughout. It's a story, and you tell a story in every single aspect. No matter where you are in the park, there's some kind of story happening, whether you're the story or whether you're a part of the story. And I've kind of just taken that into my work. Obviously, I'm not working at Disney now, but when I'm working on branding work, it's all about creating a story and helping our consumers, for the brands that I work on, go on adventures. And that's why I really love working in the outdoor space and why it's really important to me. I'm passionate about it. It's something I've grown up, coming from Michigan, always out in the wilderness, camping, hiking, all that stuff. And so it's a joy to get to kind of help build those stories for other people, for younger families that are, just starting to experience the outdoors. And with COVID, you saw a huge upswing in everyone, because it was the only thing they could do was go outside. And that was really interesting to watch. I saw it from 2 different aspects. My previous work was at Coleman with the Coleman brand, so all the camping gear. And I was there for 4.5 years, and we really saw a major shift in, outdoor experiences, the different generations that are experiencing it now, the passion behind it. And then now in my current role, which is more of more accessory style brands that kind of fit into those different adventures. But, it all comes back to creating stories with the ones you love and really embracing that no matter where you are.
How important it is to really embrace something that just makes a difference in how you have perspective in life, even if it's Disney or whatever, like you say, the college adventure, 5 different friends that you keep relationships with, and you're taking that to your current job, and you're going to take it with you always. And
Absolutely.
And you mentioned that you work in the outdoor space a lot. Are you an outdoorsy kind of person, or?
Yeah.
So
Yep,
you like
I
to
am.
go.
So I grew up as a Girl Scout. So I went all the way through. I have my bronze, silver, and gold award. But that's really where it started for me. And my family, I have, 3 siblings, and my parent, like, we were camping. That was our vacation. Our vacation was packing up the car and going camping. And my best memories are at the campground. That's where they start. They start out on the trail. They start out riding our bikes. That's where I'm most happy. And so it's been really fun. Actually, I recently moved to California in March when I took on my new role. And I just get to be outdoors every day, and my dog loves it and I love it. There's tons of hiking there. Obviously we have the ocean, so I go to the ocean every single day. But it's really important to me to give thanks to the outdoors. It's something that, every morning when I'm out walking the dog, we walk to the ocean and we always greet the ocean and thank her for another beautiful day. And, the other night we had the most beautiful sunset. And it's just and I was on a run, and I stopped and I just stood there and I just watched the sunset, because those moments are like, you can't let them go by when they're right there, and you can grasp them and run with them. Then you take it. And then this morning when I took my red eye flight in, I got to see the sunrise. And so it was fun. I haven't seen a sunrise in a while because we get the sunsets on the West Coast. So I watched the sunrise, and it was just as exhausted as I was, it was just so beautiful, to be home and see the sunrise. So the outdoors is a huge piece of who I am. And it's why I wanted to stay in the outdoor industry, working on brands that were bettering it, that were challenging it, that were, designing and innovating for, more adventures. With COVID, it really did change everything. And so now there's just a whole new group of people, cross-generational, that are just they found a love for the outdoors that they might not have had before, because they didn't have a choice. It was the only thing that they could do was to go for a walk, just to get out for a little bit.
You're talking to one of them, Grace. You're talking to one of them. I had to go out and explore the world, and now I have, the backpack for the water if I'm going on a 2-hour walk.
Yeah, your hydration pack. There you go.
If I go on a 5-hour walk. So it's kind of amazing how that shifted. But coming back to you and your experience, the COVID experience, it shifted to e-com. Tell me your challenges that you, does Impulse had, a robust infrastructure in the e-com world, or you had to push a little bit and
we had to push. Yeah. It was definitely tough. E-com moves fast and changes every day, no matter what, whether it's a COVID year or not. And so staying on top of e-commerce and the trends and social, anything that has to do with web and digital, is moving and changing every single day. And so you're never going to be fully on top of it. So what are tactics that you can do to, stay as aware as you possibly can, and really just taking the time to create that robust environment to move things faster. It took a lot for us to kind of to rethink everything. You had to take a step back and be like, okay, we got to get better content. That was the biggest thing. People were shopping online now, and if they can't see every angle of the product that they're buying, on top of how it's used, or if it's something that involves setup and they need how-to videos because they don't have any other way to learn how to set it up. We had to pivot and we had to act fast and get out there and create some content. And with that came challenges because, technically you're not supposed to be with a lot of people. And so it was a lot of the photographer at his house in his own, home studio, shooting stuff for us and approving digitally. And so it was just very difficult, but it made us realize that we can move quick. We can move a lot faster than maybe we had been doing previously. And that, I think, is a huge asset to us, to know that we could unlock that capability and make things continue to keep working.
And has that rewarded you as far as Number one, knowledge. And number two, the bottom line, the sales on your brands.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we had for Sportbrella alone, it was a huge year. The tough thing that I think every business is dealing with right now is getting product if your product's coming from China, it's just really hard to get your products right now. And so, we're selling out of products and we're just hitting peak season. So like summer is just hitting for us. And we're already sold out of a lot of stuff. And so, waiting on inventory to come back in so we can restock. And so it's just been, I think the last 2 years have been big learning years for us. It'll be really interesting to see kind of how the market changes now that we're going somewhat back to normal. But like I said, with people exploring more and getting outdoors more, they're spending more, they're excited to try gear, they want to try gear. And so we just need to be prepared for that. And that's something as a brand manager that my number one priority right now is making sure they have all of the answers to the questions that they might have when they're shopping online or they're shopping in store. And that our content is supporting them through that journey, especially for newer people that are just coming into the category. We want to make sure that, it's easy and fun for them from start to finish, from when they start researching for the product to when they're out there on the adventure using the product.
Yeah. And I imagine with all the demand that you have, advertising and reaching out to people, is it part of your marketing mix or you just leave it now because you don't want to sell more that you don't have in stock?
Yeah, no, I mean, we're constantly communicating with our consumers. It's one of my favorite parts of the job is hearing people and hearing their stories about what they like and what they don't like, because that only makes us better. It makes our innovation stronger. There was, we had a couple products that we were experiencing. There was like these weird pinch points and they were letting us know. And, I think that's important. We need to be going and seeing what the ratings are and what the reviews are, because then we can then turn around and just adjust the product so that it works better for them. Because at the end of the day, they're at the heart of everything that we do. Our consumers are at the heart of everything we do, and we serve them. And that to me, those reviews, both the good and the bad, are just, each one is a new learning experience. What do they like and why do they like it? And how can we extend that across all of our products or into our new products? What don't they like, so that we can change it moving forward? So those things are important to step back and listen. Social is always fun. I love connecting on social with our consumers, because, we get to see the pictures and we get to see the stories that they're creating with their families. And, Yak Tracks is a fun one for those that live in the snowy states and the icy states, and people that are training for, marathons and half marathons. And the reason they can train is because they know that they can put their Yak Tracks on and they can get their training and their runs in the winter months and things like that. So it's fun to see all that come together. Sportbrella is really fun right now. It's a small social presence. We just launched an Instagram not too long ago, so it's growing. But we're getting lots of fun tags and photos and things like that. And we're starting to explore giveaways and influencers. And so it's just been a big growing year for us, but it's been a lot of fun because we're connecting with the end user, and you can't ask for anything more than that, than just to hear from them and hear what they like and why they're using the product and why they chose you.
Yeah, I personally believe what you were saying. And I typically compare the relationship that you have with a brand, like what you have with a human being, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a partner, you have to nurture that relationship.
Absolutely.
You have to listen what the other person don't like about you, and you
exactly.
have to be aware and have self-awareness and be able to change, because because selling one time, that's easy.
Mm-hmm.
But keep making them come back and that make that connection in the competition it's fearless. I mean, it's all over the place, because now the boundaries have there
are none. The boundaries are gone.
Exactly. And how do you cope? because you were saying that you connect through social media. How do you cope? Do you have like a system? Because you say it's constant change and it's adapting, and how do you cope with all those changes? Do you like evaluate and change on a 2-week notice? Do you have a support team that says, well, now it's not white, go black. Oh, no, now go orange. And they're like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely have to, evaluate what is best for the business. So, there might be a color out there that like isn't selling well. And, we have to take a step back and like, why isn't it selling well? Is it just not a color that's resonating well? And if that's the case, then, you kind of you get to, I guess, kind of pick new colors. And that's always fun too, and doing the research and looking at the color and trends reports that are coming out. But, it takes time, and that's not something you can just turn on and off, and you still have inventory that you have to sell through. And when it comes to launching a new color of say, one of our umbrellas, there's MOQ, there's minimum order quantities that you have to hit. You can't just place a small sample order for, 500 and sell through those and just see how it does. Maybe if you're a smaller company, that's an option. But when you're a bigger brand like ours, you're working with large retailers that, they need mass quantities. And so it's not just an on-off switch there. And so you're working cross-functionally with sourcing, with, product development, with your product line managers, with the brand managers, with graphic design. Like there's so many people that you have to work with to make sure that it makes sense for the business to either, cut the SKU or launch a new SKU or a new product, I should say. And that is another thing that I just really enjoy is like the versatility in brand marketing of working with experts in all these different fields. I own the brand. It's my job and my duty to own the brand and what the brand stands for. But I would not be able to do my job without every single one of those other people and all those other departments. They are the true, heroes of launching a product. And it really is a team effort to get something on shelf. And it's the best feeling when you walk in a store and you get to see it, because the amount of work and the amount of people that touched it to get it to where it is at that point. But it is, you're constantly looking at what your competitors are doing. You're looking, I love learning on LinkedIn. I love, like seeing what everyone is doing. I have a huge network on there. To me, that's one of my favorite social medias. And a lot of times my friends will kind of laugh at me like, why LinkedIn? And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's just so many learning tools on there. There's so much free knowledge out there that you can access.
Impressive.
Yeah. And it's, sometimes it's like overwhelming and, I'll just be like, I just need one article today. But even on like, it's crazy when I look at Instagram or TikTok and it's like these little tips and tricks that people are like putting out there for free. And you're like, oh my gosh, I never would have thought about that, and then you go and you adjust and you test and learn and see how things go. And that's fun. And it's what keeps the job fresh and new every single day, because there's just something different that you can try. Truly every single day, there's something different.
It's the sizzle, right? Not the steak necessarily. It's
exactly
product every day. And
yeah,
I wanted to piggyback on what you were saying about being proud of your team, everybody that works with you to make the magic happen, right? So, but I want you to hop in the time machine now and tell me and tell us, the Now Gen podcast, which is your proudest moment professionally in your career until now that you say, oh my God, Grace, I'm proud of you?
Yeah. It's not necessarily a moment that it's not like a product I launched or anything like that. I had been with my previous company for 6.5 years. It's where I started out of college. I traveled, I met amazing people, mentors, friends to this day. that I'm still close with. And I think my proudest moment was deciding to take the leap and challenge myself, because I felt myself getting into a comfort zone. And I was like, okay, I've been doing this for 6.5 years. I've been on the same brand for 4.5 years. And I loved it. It was the hardest, most challenging decision I think I've ever faced professionally in my life, was to take the chance to try something new. I stayed within marketing, and I knew I wanted to stay in marketing, and I knew that I wanted to stay in the outdoor business. And so it was really important that I wasn't just going to make a move to make a move. And I took the time, and the interview process really enlightened me on, my capabilities, and really truly believing in myself and what I had to offer. And so that to me was a huge, huge proud moment in my career professionally. The other thing I would say, I have two, I guess. My second one would be when I went and decided to go back and get my master's. I decided to go back and get my master's in 2019, and I graduated in a year and a half. So I graduated in June of 2020. So I didn't get to walk across the stage. But that challenge of working full time and going to school full time as well. Wow. I'd work a full day, and then I'd go to class 6 to 9. Getting my master's was a huge accomplishment for me. I have extremely high standards for myself. And I wanted to graduate with as close to a 4.0 that I could get. And I graduated with a 3.8. And so that was just a huge proud moment for me in my career. But, the first one being deciding to really take a chance on myself and challenging myself and getting out of my comfort zone and doing something somewhat new, and then moving to a totally new state in the middle of COVID.
No, I mean, yeah, it takes a lot of guts to really say, let's just not worry about this pandemic and get to work and learn and grow and keep the challenge of your e-com life transformation, digital transformation with this new challenge that you have in place, and then go and read and learn and take the tests. And that's kudos. Congrats on that. Great.
Thank you.
Really. And so what is, if we're coming close to our interview now, and our now gen podcasters, they want to know something that they can take away from this interview, from your experience.
Absolutely.
That they can use to live in this fast-paced world. What would you say to them?
My advice that I give to anyone that I mentor, anyone that I get to work with, is take the time to build the relationships with people. The people that I work with are my family. They've become my family. And yes, it's always important to be able, to separate work and home and whatnot. But you most likely will spend more time with those people at work than some of the people that you spend time with at home. And investing in them as just human beings and people makes your work that much more enriching. And you're not going to get along with everybody, but the relationships that you build with the people that you work with only make you a better person. And it's because of the people that I work with that I am where I am today. And their respect, their friendship it means everything to me. I hold it in high esteem. And I can't express enough just how important relationship building is with your peers, because it's going to be what makes coming to work every single day that much more fun, whether it be face-to-face or over a Zoom call. Take the moment, schedule the extra 5 minutes just to catch up before a meeting. It doesn't have to be, get right down to it and, into the business. How are your kids doing? Or oh, I heard you started a new workout program. How's it going? Or what'd you cook for dinner? Like anything, just take the time to build that relationship, because that is what makes successful products. It's what makes successful businesses, and it's what makes you a successful person.
Great. Yeah. And I relate completely to that. So in the brand world, if you're not building a relationship with your customers, with your peers, with the community,
Yep.
then you're not doing it as well as you're supposed to. So
exactly.
Congrats on that. Thank you for that. Okay, so we're going to end the meeting, but before we do that, we're going to go into a favorite segment that we have right now. And we're going to ask you a very personal question. Is that going to be 3 brands that you like of pet food? 3 brands that you like pet food.
Pet food.
Yes.
Okay. Oh goodness. Okay. My dog. So I have a dog.
Okay, you have a dog. That's good.
I also had a cat. She's running around here. She lives with my sister now. But so I've grown up with pets my entire life. But I think the first one is BarkBox. Anything that comes in her BarkBox is just like the branding. I would love to work for them. Their branding is unbelievable. I get excited when the BarkBox is coming because it's a different theme every month. This last one was sleepaway camp, and she got a s'more toy, and she got a little beaver in an inner tube toy, but it comes with, these treats that are in there that are also themed. And so I would say BarkBox is killing it. Love them for like treats for my dog. The other one, I don't know if it's necessarily dog food, and I can't think, but Chewy. Anything on Chewy has been their e-commerce is just phenomenal. Next level. It's so good. And just the pride that they take in their work and making sure, the information on if your dog passed or when it's your dog's birthday, or your pet, I should say, not your dog. I just think of my dog immediately. Yeah. And then the third one, I don't know if I have a third one. Those 2 are probably my top 2. Okay. I will say one that has stuck with me my entire life is Canine Advantix, which is like the flea and tick medicine for dogs. But to this day, I have their it was a commercial that ran when I was a kid, but I have it memorized, and I've known it my entire life. And I'm like, if I can memorize your song from a commercial,
yes, I know
you did something right.
Yes, exactly. And then you have it with you, right? It's like, brand recognition.
Exactly.
And it's the same quality, the same product, the same, probably they change a little bit the branding, but it's just the typical notch. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, so anything else you want to share with us before closing out?
I don't think so. Thank you for having me. This was fun. I've never done anything like this. This was a blast. It was an honor to be on here. And I look forward to, seeing and hearing everything else that you guys continue to do.
Yes. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you for accepting the invitation and making room that you're up at your home and everything. Thank you so much. Really, I appreciate it. So
absolutely.
Okay. So we've been talking to Grace Guerra, Impulse Outdoor Section Brand Manager. If somebody from the audience is interested in reaching out to you, where can they do so? Do you have an email or an Instagram account or somewhere that you want them to redirect them?
Yeah, I would say if you want to connect, LinkedIn is the best place to find me. I'm very responsive. Shoot me a message. I always will respond. I love hearing, learning, expanding my network. It only makes us all better. So LinkedIn, I would say, would be the best place to find me. And I think my email is in there. If not, once I get that message and you want to continue conversation, I'm happy to share that with you.
Okay, perfect. So LinkedIn is the place to meet or get to know and connect with Grace Guerra. If you want to learn more about the most relevant power brands for the now gen, stay tuned for the next episode. Thank you for staying with us.